the World Healing Tour movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world.
Hey everybody, my name is Lisa Ray. I'm a literary agent and I'm working with the media team here at The Grass Grows Where I Am, and we are so excited to bring you a co-author experience where you will grow your brand and your visibility. Click the link below and apply now for free, and we will see you inside the pages of The Grass Grows Where I Am.
Hello, and welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and inspire you to live your most empowered and joyful life. I'm also the author of the book, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am, because the grass is greenest where you are when you say so. When you choose to live in a place of no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity. When you live in your own love and light and share your unique gifts with the world, because we are all unique. And that's why it's called World Healing Tour, because when you heal yourself, you truly create a ripple effect for others to heal as well. Each week, I bring incredible people into studio to pour into you and into your life and help you along your journey. This week, I'm so excited about my guest. He's also an author in our anthology, The Grass Grows Where I Am. Clive Digby-Jones is a master practitioner, a trainer in the Ravenscroft approach to psycho-spiritual integration, the work of his life partner, Dr. Eileen Watkins Seymour. You can heal from grief, depression, loss, all kinds of things, anything in your life, by being able to find the doorway through to becoming whole again. I'm so excited to have you today on the podcast. Welcome, Clive.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I love your work. Your work is incredible, and I know you've had a really long journey to take you there, because I was so impressed because you were working at IBM, right, to start with.
Yes.
And then you worked for Walt Disney for a while.
Yes.
I mean, you've done so many things that have nothing to do with healing, but your journey brought you to want to help others heal, and I think that's incredible. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yes, you will see a little fellow sitting in front of me who's Humpty Dumpty, and it's been my journey to help myself become whole. And so, working with Eileen for over 30 years, I've had the fabulous opportunity to experience my own healing and then to learn the process of psycho-spiritual integration, and to pass that on to other people and obviously work with people who need help.
I love that. What is psycho-spiritual integration?
It's an understanding that we are made of energy. If you believe in God, then we are made of the source light of God. And that is light compressed into a body form. And we're meant to radiate out from that form. So if you think of a smiling baby, not yet able to talk, pulls people to it, to its parents, to family and everything else. What happens to that energy through time is that we can experience hurt, we can experience trauma, we can experience not being received. And I guess you listening to this, you will identify with whether that happened to you. It happens to pretty much everyone.
It's called life.
It's called life. And psycho-spiritual integration is the process of finding our energy which withheld itself. If you think of the Romanian babies in an orphanage who lost their light, they weren't picked up, they weren't hugged, nothing was done with them. And their outer light withdrew. And there is a process of fragmentation. It is our light at different ages. Bits of it can get put away in safekeeping. It protects itself. And we don't understand that, but we do know the symptoms. We know the anger, the fear, the grief, and the rage even that you feel at certain times. And it's not always at the appropriate moment. Something can trigger us. So psycho-spiritual integration is this process of finding out how much of you is present, how much is missing, where it is, how do you find it, and how do you release it, and then embody all your energy and radiate out, which makes you again a vehicle for light. And you can then pull in the higher energies and the higher things that we aspire to, and be a light vehicle shining and glowing in the universe, in the world.
Yeah. That's a really beautiful way of putting it, right? Because you do see the difference in energy of people that have more light. I mean, just looking at people, you could see the light radiating, and especially when you talk about babies.
Yes.
And I heard about that study. Didn't some of those babies die?
Yes.
Because they weren't getting any love?
Yes. Well, and their own energy withdrew to a point where they weren't able to even breathe properly and things like that. So we've mostly learnt to look at symptoms and then sort of work with the symptom. You know, how can we suppress this or get rid of that or deal with this or manage this? And so what and we did a clinical study to help show this and demonstrate it. And a number of clinical psychologists and therapists and healers and coaches have said, wow, you mean that I can find these pieces? I don't have to keep managing this? So this is what I'd like to tell you about. You know, this is how I and my partner, Dr. Eileen Watkins-Seymour, help people do this. And we're training trainers. That's the other thing, is we want to teach people how to do this.
Yeah, I think that's the legacy, right? Because we're all here to leave this world better. So you have to train people so they can continue doing your amazing work.
Yes.
Because you can't do it alone.
Yes.
You know?
And one of the things is, you know, I look at myself and I see my age, and Eileen sees her age. So it's not that our bodies are not going to, you know, expire at some point. But with the energy that we've managed to recover, we are extending our lives. And, you know, and yes, we would like to help individuals, you, and people who want to learn how to do this with others. You know, it's a legacy.
Yeah, and trauma is a real thing, right? People go through trauma, people go through grief, through loss, and it does take away our energy, right? It does deplete us. Let's talk about that, how that affects us internally.
There is a difference between sadness due to loss and grief. You could say that grief is a major form of sadness and loss. However, what we've found, and I personally, is that something happened on the outside. My father died when he was 58, and he was not a man to express himself fondly. And so I felt the sadness and the loss. But what I also felt was something inside me which wouldn't go away. You know, even when I was having a good day or a happy day or, you know, enjoying my friends or whatever, there was something nagging away at me. And this is the point about grief pointing to some of us being missing. In my case, when I was 6 3/4, I was sent away to boarding school. So I lost my family at that point. And I wasn't a very good listener, and all I understood was at the age of 18, I would be coming back again. So it was sort of like a prison sentence. So
That's a very hard age to be sent away.
That's
Like
right, yeah.
boys are very fragile at that age. They need their mom. They
Yeah.
need their connection and the
Yeah.
foundation.
And so I like to tell people that there are 4 stages of development. And
Yeah, let's talk about those 4
Yeah.
stages because I think they're so interesting. Let's start with the first stage of development.
yes. So the first stage of development we call sleepwalking through life.
Sleepwalking through life. That kind of says it all, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about sleepwalking through life and how you're affected by life when you're sleepwalking through life.
So basically you are just dealing with the day-to-day. You're surviving, you're managing, you're coping, and you don't even have time to be depressed or anything else. It's just you are dealing with life.
And how do you feel inside when you're just dealing with life? You're sleepwalking. How do you feel inside?
In my case, it was being in a foreign land. I felt as if I didn't belong. I didn't feel
Connected,
connected or joyful or any of those things. And so you move from that stage.
You're just doing.
You're just doing.
So you're just doing, but you're kind of numb to the outside
Yes,
world.
yes.
You don't even know why you're doing it.
Yes.
You're just doing it because that's what you've been conditioned to do, would you say?
That's right. And the outside world can irritate you, frankly. You know, it's like it keeps on throwing things at you. There's always something more. And
Yeah.
know,
So instead of like, you're not in a growth state of mind.
Right.
So instead of like thinking like, oh, maybe this obstacle happened to help me grow, something happens and you're like, oh, my life sucks.
Yes.
You know, you're reactive.
Yes.
It's a reactive state, would you
yes,
say?
absolutely.
Okay.
And then there may be a little dawning. You suddenly say, why is my life like this? Why can't I do this? Why do I
So you're
always...
kind of frustrated.
You're frustrated, and you kind of start to wonder. And you can call that beginning of self-awareness.
Is that the second stage?
And it's the second
Let's
stage.
talk about the second stage. So the first one is you're sleepwalking, you're just at the effect of life, and you're suffering.
Yes.
And then the second stage is more of awareness. Let's talk about that stage.
Yes, and the sort of comical end to this stage is, and I blame my parents.
To blame your parents?
Well, I did for a while. Yes.
Okay, so in the second stage of awareness,
Yes.
you're blaming people, pointing fingers.
Yes.
Because it's easy to blame somebody else for your problems.
You're looking for the reason. After
Yes.
all, I was a child, you know, they
Yeah,
should have done this.
It's all
or
their fault.
It's
yeah.
all their fault.
Yes.
And
It seems like we all go through those stages.
yes. And
Yes.
for some people, it can also be a dawning that we have an inner world. It's not just everything happening on the outside. It's actually, I discover that some people have a faith. I discover that some people read books. I discover that some people join groups.
Yeah, so you're starting to notice what people are doing around you.
Yes.
And maybe you want more, but you just don't know how to
Yes.
access it yet.
And you may start to learn some things, and you may start to get some pointers, and you may get some people advising you. Maybe there's a family member or a grandparent or someone who starts to make you wake up to that there's more to you and there's more to find, and you can become more. And so that's, you know, can be quite a long stage for people, or it can be sudden and quite quick sometimes. And it moves to the third stage. And the third stage is self-management. So let me tell you about self-management. So at this stage, you've discovered some tools for your toolkit. And you may learn to meditate. You may learn to do yoga. You may join a group, and it could be a faith-based group. It could be a sporting group. You know, you've got some things which help you manage life. And you may be interested in learning about how other people have done things to improve themselves. You may put yourself on courses. You may challenge yourself at work. You may do all of those things.
You may read self-help books, right?
Indeed, you may. Yes.
Okay.
And we have one.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see your self-help book.
Okay, so our self-help book is called, The Missing Piece. And this is P-E-A-C-E. Yeah.
P-A-C-E. Hold it on the bottom.
Oh, right. Thank you.
P-A-C, The Missing Piece. Tell us about that book a second, and then we'll get back to the...
Yes. So this is a joint work with Dr. Eileen, myself, and an editor, talking about her work of how do you go through these stages, how do you find yourself, what are the techniques, and it finishes with some self-help exercises, about 20. The first part is, how do you do this? How do Eileen and Clive help people? So it's the process. In the middle section, it's all sorts of case studies, things that have happened in people's lives, how they've worked to recover their missing energy, all sorts of different examples, and I'll talk about some of the things that people have done. And so what we wanted was somebody to, if anybody wants to read about and learn about this process, then you've got a book, and you can try it for yourself. And,
That's very cool.
so
That's awesome. Yeah, amazing. And you being a part of the anthology now and getting your message out and
Yes.
with more people is exciting too. I'm really
Yes.
grateful you're in our book because
Thank you. Well,
you're an amazing man. You're doing amazing things. You and your
thank you.
wife, or your partner. But I wanted to ask you. So we're going to the third phase, and that's the management phase,
Yes.
right? Let's talk a little more about that.
Well, the upside of that is you can manage your life better. You can and if something triggers you, you have some tools to deal with it. You may also be linked to a healer, a teacher, a guru, or a group or some sort of support system. The upside of that is you've got you are supported. The slight downside of it is it can become routine. It can mean that you are now dependent on somebody else in a way to guide you. And what we want to introduce people to is the fourth stage, which is self-actualization.
Let's talk about self-actualization. That sounds like a very deep kind of word.
Well, in some areas, it's, how do you become a saint? In other areas, how do you leave your body? You don't need it anymore because you've become elevated. When we talk about self-actualization, it is following a piece of guidance that we've worked out, which is it is our job to find and integrate or reintegrate parts of ourself that are missing, and to integrate the light which has withdrawn itself and embody it and radiate so that we can be a full human being. And both the light and we learn what that means, because we've created divine beings and others, and they equally are wanting the best for themselves and also for the world. So if you're a believer in God, what this does is it removes the barriers that have been stopping God fully coming in. And you can then be a vehicle for God, for the source light in our terms. So self-actualization is becoming whole. And
It sounds also like having a soul connection with yourself.
yes,
Like a complete soul connection. Like you know who you are. You can guide yourself. You have all your channels are open to receive the
Yes.
light.
yes,
And you're just so connected to yourself that you're so guided in that light to shine. You just connected to that light of God all the time, and you're shining out. You're just in a. It's almost like I almost get that visualization.
Well, it's also, if you think about self-management, there has to be a self managing the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Self-management. So that's a split in a system. What we're doing is helping people discover that the bit of them that's been controlling them, managing them, and everything else can become fully integrated and become part of deep knowing, and can trigger what is called the quantum law of attraction, which is people, resources, new information, additional light from above or behind or below or wherever.
Is that manifestation?
And it's manifestation, yes. And I've had a conversation recently with Eileen, because I said, look, it's 33 years that we've been together. How am I going to speak on this show and say, I know this stuff and I can help people do it? If I'm, is it taken me 33 years to get to where I am? And the answer is no. It took me quite a while. And that's why I've got Humpty Dumpty here, because my story is about putting Humpty Dumpty together again. It took me a while to find those missing pieces. From that point on, it's about being fully, and it's about being whole. And it's not some grandiose, experience. It is a huge relief and a sense of joy and a sense of love, which we want to share with people. And many people are working towards this. So it is just a different way of understanding the loss of ourselves, loss of soul energy, which can happen in previous lives. So we have people who find past lifetimes. Not everybody believes in that. But they find energy which has been waiting to be found. People who've, in the womb, lost a sibling There were 2 babies in there and one went out. The one that survived knows it. You talk about grief. Where does grief come from? It doesn't have to be just the first time, you were smacked by a parent, or first day at school, or, being bullied, or all those other things. It really can be something deep in your soul, spirit. Yeah, ancestral. Yeah, parental and ancestral. A lot of people are carrying things from their parents and don't realize it, patterns and things. So it's a cleaning out of and creating a freedom of being. It sounds a bit high-flown, but it actually, and I always say to people, don't believe a word I say, but do the work, and you will teach yourself, and you will learn that this is what we're meant to do. It's not just relying on when a divine God, helps us or whatever. We actually can take charge. And
no, that's incredible. And how does somebody that's in management, they're managing themselves, they're growing, they're reading self-help books, how do they know that there's another level of themselves? Like, do they still feel like something's missing? Is that how they know that there's another level to go to? Because when they're there and they have the tools, maybe they're thinking, I'm okay, at least I can manage my life. But managing is not thriving. No. And I feel like in self-actualization, you're actually thriving more, right? And you're connected and you're...
Yes, and also when you are self-managing, that's where many people are teaching other people. They've learnt enough that they have some skills that they can pass on. So that's gratifying. It pays the bills as well. In the self-actualization thing, how do you know in self-management that you have more to do? Well, the question we ask everybody is, if being 10 out of 10 present in the world is 10 out of 10, being fully present, how close to 10 are you on average? So first of all, you have to work out, well, what's fully present mean? Well, I'm in the room, I'm fully here, I'm fully in my voice, I'm fully in my touch, I'm fully in my relationships, I'm fully loving. How close to 10 am I on average? Well, some days I'm an 8, some days I'm a 2, some days I'm a 5, which means I've got 1 foot on the accelerator, 1 foot on the brake, and I'm spinning my wheels. So as you're listening to this, think about what's your number. And interestingly, our system, when you ask yourself the question, how close to 10 am I on average, comes up with a number. Let's say it's a 6 out of 10. That says, as well as you're managing your life, 60% of you is here. That's actually a struggle. You're trying to be 10. Some days you're nearer to it, some days you're not. And it also says 40% is missing. Really? 40% of me is missing? Well, understanding this loss of energy at different stages, it becomes frozen, it fragments, it comes into the body, this outer energy that's meant to be radiating, it comes back in, and it becomes frozen. So we don't know it's there, we know the symptoms of it.
What does it feel like when the energy is frozen in our body? What are some of the symptoms that you're going to feel in your body?
Yeah, it's many of the physical symptoms, the emotional symptoms, the mental symptoms, and what we tend to do. So it's pain, it's hurt, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's anger.
It's fear?
And it's fear. Deep one is fear. What we don't understand is that can be coming from something lost. What we do is we look at the symptom. We take a pill, maybe we drink a little, maybe we start to exercise, maybe we do things to manage it. So everybody needs to check this number and be available to, there's some pieces missing. Okay, where are they? Oh, well, that ache I get, I've exercised fully, and then there's this residual thing, and it's not just muscular. There's this problem with my hip. There's this problem in my stomach. So we have clients who have, for example, a throat cancer. And when the person looked into their throat, so this is a doorway, this is a symptom. And this enabled, when the person closes their outer eyes and looks in, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, she actually found the image of her mother.
Mm.
So she was holding her mother's energy and her own energy combined.
Wow.
This was in Ireland when she left at the age of 8, left her mother behind. Father took her to England. And so she, she found a mother self. And when she looked into the mother self, was her grandmother. And within the grandmother was the great-grandmother. And there was a whole line of women who hadn't spoken out about what was happening in Ireland with the men and the priests and everything else. And so she was carrying an ancestral pattern.
That's incredible.
And so what the healing process was to help her find the energy which was at the back of the line, this beautiful, pure white source energy, which is the back of the line of the women. And she brought this through each of the people in her, and they each burst into light. And the light came forward and came forward and came forward and finally healed the mother. And then she was just full of light. The immediate thing that happened was the doctor says, oh, this precancerous situation, and we must have made a mistake. It's gone. And that was within a week or two. Within 2 weeks, she got a phone call from her estranged mother, who she'd not seen for 50 years, who tracked her down in England.
That gives me the chills. I'm literally having chills.
Yeah, and the mother said, I don't know why, I would only ever have gone to the priest, but I suddenly felt I needed to get some help for myself. So literally the energy clearing in here and in her was radiating out to the mother.
Wow.
So this is the depth of this healing work,
That's amazing.
Yes.
Like amazing, like mind-blowing. All right, this is fascinating, Clive. I love this conversation. We're going to take a quick commercial from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with Clive Digby-Jones.
Hi, I'm Chris Trammell. I'm the marketing director for The Grass Grows Where I Am, and we can't wait to work with you. And if being in this anthology book would make a difference for your brand, your visibility, and your profitability, click the link below and let's get you started. Can't wait to work with you.
And we are back with Clive. This is such a fascinating, interesting conversation. It's incredible, right? That we can heal so much from being able to bring the missing pieces back to us and make ourselves whole again.
Yeah.
And I love, Clive, your vulnerability also with talking about yourself and saying, well, it's 33 years I've been working on myself. And the thing is, we're human beings. We're not gonna be perfect. All of us have times in our lives that are low, times in our lives when we fall apart a little bit, but it's our job to continually, connect back to that light and to that healing energy within us and be able to put those pieces back together again. And it's our job to grow ourselves to a higher place of self-actualization where we really do feel whole and complete, right?
Yes.
So I love that we have the power to do that, and I love your work that you help people get there. Now, can we talk a little bit about how you help your clients get to that place of wholeness?
Yes. So we rarely work with people for longer than 6 to 8 sessions. It can be as short as 3, and pretty much everybody gets to clear what they come with within that shorter space of time.
That's amazing.
So this is not
Long term.
Long term. We love saying we can't wait to get rid of our clients, and then we're available to be friends because people have this experience. And the other thing is that you are doing the work. We're helping, but it's you're doing the work. We teach you how to do this for yourself. So this is something that people believe in and recognize. And usually what happens in it, you have a first session and somebody, and that's a lot of gathering information. You may have filled in a questionnaire and so on and so on. But the idea is for you to suddenly start to work out your percentage of how much of you is missing. And then to help you look inside. So in workshops, we have people draw energy maps. They feel their body self. They can look and draw their body self. And they find that they can actually, with colors, etch in areas in their body that they feel are withholding. So there's a place in the heart. There's something in the stomach. There's something in my right shoulder. That's my left shoulder, but right for you. Or there's a pain I constantly get at the back of my head. I have migraines. Or it's...
So you're teaching them to listen to themselves.
Yeah.
Listen to their body.
Well, listen and sense see. So we teach
And
them...
feel the sensory in the body.
And to actually be able to find out the doorways. As people are talking and somebody's saying, you know, I push myself, and you'll find that they're making a movement at the time. I push myself. I push myself so hard, you know, and it's like, oh, well, I wonder what's in there. And then people talk in different voices, different tones of voice as they're answering. So literally the places that are withheld can be starting to speak out. So if we train people to do this, is to watch for the signs. So in the first session, we're getting the lay of the land, and then you start to do some work. And at each stage, at the end of the session, you feel, and you're asked, you know, how do you feel? And what if anything is different? And people say, well, actually, I got the feeling of energy rushing through me when I found this younger self. And we don't have you, you know, find your younger self and then feed them and keep them going and all the rest of it. We want you to find the energy of that younger self and bring it out. So it's a process through several sessions. And at the end, we want to reboot our day-to-day consciousness. It's been doing the job of managing, controlling, judging, holding us back, doing all sorts of things, helping us, you know. And it needs a new role, which is to be purely relaxed knowing and available to the universe and things like that.
Is it, I don't know, the picture I'm getting in my mind is that you help people recover their energy,
Yes.
light,
Yes,
through flow,
yes,
you know, not through resistance. Because you help them connect back to their flow,
yes.
back to their energy flow, so they can no longer feel that stuckness in their body.
Yeah, it's a little bit even more than that, because it's when you say flow, that's the effect.
Right.
But in the process, it's discovering that our energy, the God force, withdrew itself. It's like, I'm out of here.
So you're not in flow when it's withdrew itself.
That's right.
So you're bringing the flow back into that.
Yeah, you're adding to,
Yeah.
because the rest of you, okay, you were 60% is flowing. So this is where people get confused.
And that's the stuck energy.
Yeah, that's stuck energy.
That's not flowing.
Yeah.
And therefore it's creating all these symptoms in your body and all that lack of, and basically not radiating out.
Yeah. And some of that energy can be pushed out. So it's not just that it gets stuck in different places. When people look in, you know, is it light or dark in there, we say. And the person says, oh, actually, it's dark. Yeah, it's dark. It's dark inside me. And if it had a color, oh, well, it's black. Actually, it could be brown, or it could be red, or it could be green. And then you have a conversation with that, and it's like a layer of protection. It's a layer of protection in the body.
So what I feel like as you're talking, like I'm just, saying things that I'm feeling, that you bring deeper awareness of people into themselves.
Yes, that's step one. And then they go an understanding and a process of looking further in, and there are layers. They can have a mother, and you may have to go to the mother's child self to do the healing on the mother self in order to get back your energy, which was held on to the mother because she died early, or she was mean, or she was really loving, but she ran away, or she whatever. So it's an inner journey, and I talk about four stages of. I've lost the words.
The inner journey.
It's
like the stages you go through.
Yeah, it's the stages
to heal yourself.
It's the stages you go through to heal yourself, but it's also there are 4 orders of reality. Thank you.
Okay.
It came, and the first order is the world. So you reflect, and you're influenced by, and you know, you're concerned about things in the world, and you're probably in the survival stage of sleepwalking. Then there's the body self, and that you're sort of aware of. Beyond the body self is this inner energy fragmentation, and the energy is in your body and around it. You can have energy accompanying you. Case of a young lady who had a precancerous situation at 24, and her 14-year-old self, the energy of her at 14, very clearly was standing with her arms crossed. This woman looked behind herself, went, "Whoa, there's my 14-year-old self." You know, and then there's a conversation. How long have you been there? Outside my body, behind me, hating life, not moving forward, and having made decisions of life sucks, I'm not, you know, I'd rather die. And so she walked for a week knowing this energy was there. And she said, she tripped me up. She said, I was going somewhere and suddenly she put her foot out and tripped me up. So this was her experience. And then she learned to look into the 14-year-old and to find the 14-year-old's lost energy, brought that out, 14-year-old dissolved, and this wave of energy came in through her back. And we've got the pictures of how it resolved, what was going on with her stomach and everything else. So this is tangible. And a lady with, she had clinical depression for 36 years. She was in our clinical study. And I worked with her, and she first of all found herself at 3 years old. And we had conversations, and the child was terrified. I said, where's a safe place? Is there anywhere where you feel safe? And it was under this particular tree. So the adult saw her adult self take the child and sit down with her under this tree, and they got to hug. Then she found her 7-year-old self, and she brought the 7-year-old self to this place. And they each had different experiences. And then finally her 13-year-old self. And her 13-year-old self didn't want to know her, didn't want to know anything. But eventually, begrudgingly, went under this tree. And this is a lady who's an author. And when she recovered all their energies and it came through her and everything else, she wrote and said, she said, this was so amazing. I no longer feel depressed. I can't even get in touch with the feelings of depression. I just have this feeling of joy. And I'm writing a story or a book called The Healing. So for her, this was and this is, as I say to everybody, it's not about me, it's not about Eileen, it is about you, and it's about what you can create of a full self, a full you. And we'd love to help, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you've committed your life to helping people because, you're, like I said, you were doing completely other things in your life, and you literally dedicated your life to the healing because it healed you so much.
Yes.
And you want that so much for other people as well. I know you did that case study.
Yes.
For how long was that case study for that you did?
We did the study, the clinical study, yes, was about a year, over a year. And people did particular tests and wrote various things before they came, during the process, and then afterwards, and quite a time afterwards to check what the results were. And it was pretty amazing. I mean, people were having 95 to 100% clearance in a 6-week sessions, and over a 3-month or longer period when they were being monitored. And these were people of all ages. Some people had done years of self-development. So they'd been in self-management, they'd been in self-awareness, they'd started off, sleepwalking through life and everything else. And this was a relatively fast way of them doing the work. We help them do the work. We help you do the work. Yeah.
Is this anything to do with fifth dimension, self-actualization? Does it have anything to do with, people talk about the fifth dimension, about the seventh dimension? Is that anything tied to that or not? I was just curious about that.
Well, if you look at the book and you look at the symbol on it, that is a symbol of the fifth dimension. Yeah, very much so. It is understanding that we've almost there's so many belief systems that say you've got to look elsewhere for the solution, outside yourself to God. I think it's a mistake to actually be talking about going to heaven and, you're leaving and your body, and somebody else is looking after you and you'll reconnect at some future date. Because in science and in the quantum world is actually when our body dies, our energy is released and magnifies. It doesn't get destroyed. It rejoins the light. And it's then everywhere. So everybody, when they get really, really sad and they've lost somebody, I said, do you understand that they're still with you? And it's not just about memories. It is that actually their energy is with you. So we're really helping the quantum and the quantum entanglement, the connections we have, by understanding and looking for all of our light so that we can be free and radiating and be a light in the world. And then we can continue and not miss so much the people who pass, our friends and our family. My nephew died about 2 weeks ago. He was 58. Interestingly, the same age as my dad. And they didn't know what caused it, and then they worked out it was actually sort of a heart problem. And I just have had such a strong sense of him, and with my sister, his mother, I've been able to find photographs to help remind her. And she's a very religious lady, so it's all about, he's with God now and everything else. And I said, well, yeah, he kind of is, but bring that energy back. That's what we're all meant to do, these higher energies. We're meant to be a vehicle as we're living for these higher energies, for God, for whatever you call that, and whatever your faith or non-faith. So I have long conversations with quite a lot of men who have been taught to be strong and to win and to do this, and never really looked at their feminine energy and how they need to be loving. They've never nobody's trained them that way. It's all about the masculine and manhood games, competing. We're very much into selfhood as opposed to manhood, because we say...
I love that.
Yeah.
Say it again, selfhood.
Selfhood.
Forget manhood, you guys. Selfhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's for ladies as well, because it's non-gender. It doesn't matter. And if you are working on selfhood, then you've got space to help somebody else work on their selfhood. So, and then gender equality it starts to go out the window, because everybody gets to be helping everybody else. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. So what are some of the things that people that work with you expect to feel differently in their lives? Does the fear go away? What are some of the things that you've seen change within them, the way they feel on a day-to-day basis?
In the sessions, at the end, very often they say, I'm exhausted, because it's taken so much energy to hold back those missing pieces. So the first thing is they're tired, and suddenly they're able to sleep fully, and suddenly they're relaxing. And they often say, I feel relaxed, I feel calm. There is a process that they need to go through called the unconscious equation, which is why we hold on to various negative energies. Why? Because there's a positive intention, some positive results. And the unconscious equation says, I hold on to fear in order to stay safe. This is kind of thing. Because I hold on to fear, this does this, it does this, it does this, it does this, and finally I feel safe. So it's like there's a payoff. I hold on to anger because I feel strong. This lady I've just been working, who's known as the black sheep of a chemical family, because she's very much not into chemical and toxicity and everything else. She's very much into healing and so on and so on. She was holding on to shame because she wasn't, what the family wanted and everything else. So she held on to shame in order to feel worthy. And this is an illogical thing. So you ask me, what will people feel? I ask, what would you like to replace that negative feeling, that fear, that anger, that shame, that grief? What would you like to? And they come up with things like joy. So then we have to say, well, where is the joy? Where's your joy? Did you ever have it? So, and then we go for a hunt, and where they recover their energy, and suddenly they start to feel joyful. So their day becomes easier. They're not having to manage so much themselves. They start to have luck, and the new job comes through. The money they've been needing, the person they've wanted in their life suddenly turns up, because they are now sort of an open book, and they're radiating. They are a presence when they come into a room. They don't have to be slick and this and that and everything else. They are a light presence. So people talk about how peaceful it is now.
Peaceful is important. It's an important component. We all want more peace, right?
Yeah. And I feel whole. There's a tendency when people are doing growth work is that you measure it with something. I want a new car. I want a new job. I want a husband or anything else. We say no. What are your desired energetic experiences? What do you want? I want to feel confident. I want to feel whole. I want to feel
like nothing's missing.
Yeah.
Like complete in myself.
Yes. Yeah. So, and it takes a little while because our systems have been telling us that you can't have it, or I've never been able to do it, or anything else. So and people often write and say, my life is so different, and it's not what I expected, and it is much easier, and I'm seeing things, and I'm finding I'm helping people just by being. I turn up at the right time. I smile. I make the right comment. So it's not, I've got to do this, I've got to be a healer in the world, or I've got to, whatever. Yeah. It's, I want to be me, I want to be whole.
Yeah.
And being whole human being is not something we've been taught how to do. And the fifth dimension is about bringing in this light into a third dimensional world. And it is, there are people waking up all around, actually. They've been questioning and everything.
And you realize you're so much more than just this body.
Yes.
And that's part of it, because when you're just this body and you don't see more than the body, then that's where the suffering is.
Yes.
And when you're able to bring yourself to higher dimension, you know that you're so much more than the body, and you see everything as an opportunity, and you accept everything, right? So you're no longer resisting and fighting things, but rather open to just receive the positive thing that God, universe, source has for you.
And for me personally, when I did a Dale Carnegie course, which was about human relations and effective communication, I was failing after about 6 sessions. All these other people who I classified as, the such and such entrepreneur, the such and such accountant, the such and such, were winning pencils, and I couldn't win a pencil. I was trying every strategy. And so I spoke to the human resource director. I was a new director in this group, a 30-year-old smart ass. And she said, and I said, why did you put me on the course? She said, well, you know that nobody likes you. I said, what? She said, no, nobody likes you. You're an asshole. And excuse me. And so I went back. I was the person they selected to be the representative of all 40 in the group, because when I went down on one knee and I talked to my newly born son in front of the group, and I shared myself and my deep emotion, I was real. And that was the beginning of a journey for me to where I am now, so that I'm okay, and I laugh at myself. That's the other thing.
It's becoming authentic, right?
Yes.
And isn't it part of the journey to becoming whole is also becoming authentically you, and not trying to pretend you're something else,
And I have no recipe for anybody who comes and works with me. It's them to find their recipe for who they really need to be or will be fully. And then it's just simply a process of doing the journeying to find it. And there are things like bookends. There's a piece of me way up on high, above my head, and there's some down and below my feet. There's a future me out in front. Oh, well, did you just create that future you? No, it's been there all along, and I've been running to catch up. Well, what if your future self, who now you can see, and now you know how you'll be when you've done your work, what if that future self brought its energy back inside you? It knows how to do all the things that you want to do. And people are walking around the world with part of them out in front of them. Part of them's in back, parental, ancestral, past life, younger selves. Part of it's stored in the body with doorways to find. And if you get all of that energy together, if you get all of your energy together, you can be just who you're meant to be.
You can be the hero.
You can be your
You
hero.
can hear your hero.
Yeah, you can be your own hero.
And you need to be your own hero in life. It's not
Yes.
about anybody else. It's about your journey and you becoming the hero of your journey and living your best life, finding your own inner joy and
Yes.
peace and happiness and making this world better because you're no longer suffering, you're no longer managing, you're no longer sleepwalking, right?
Yes.
You're actually in a place where you own your pieces
Yes.
of light.
Yes.
You're standing in your power.
Yes.
And you can make a huge difference and an impact that you want to make on the world.
That's
so
right.
this work is extraordinary,
Yes.
Clive.
And people don't know. That's the other thing is Eileen discovered this, and she loves to work with people. I love to work with people.
Tell me a little bit more about Eileen really quickly before. Let's
Okay.
hear a little more about her.
Dr. Eileen?
Because she's amazing.
Yeah. When she did her work with me, it's not all one way, she had all her masculine energy. So she was a Miss Brooklyn finalist. So she was a beauty queen. She married outside of her faith, being Jewish. She was a cheerleader. She was, all those sort of things.
What brought her to that work that she did?
She, with her first husband, was taken to the United Kingdom, which is where I'm from, and she joined the American Women's Club. And there she ran the young women and young mothers, young ladies and mothers of children or whatever. She'll kill me for not remembering. Anyway, so she did some work on herself with the person who came to talk to them. And she realized that she had things missing. And she realized she wanted to help people. So she then studied to become a psychotherapist. And in the psychotherapy work and in learning NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it's a process of finding how you program yourself. And it has to do with finding missing pieces. She realized that she went deeper and she heard people saying things and she realized they were speaking from certain places. And so she started to investigate, and then she discovered this process of helping people look inside themselves and outside themselves and find their missing energy. And one day somebody said, do you know what you're doing? You're doing psycho-spiritual integration. And then somebody in California said, because she'd called it the Ravenscroft approach, we want to learn the Ravenscroft approach. How do we learn it? And I said, well, we're the only people doing it. Oh, we'll bring you out for 3 years. So it was like a progression, and I'd come into her life as her third partner, and she's my fourth partner, and now life partner. And then we've experienced lives we've lived together. So we've just helped each other discover where we've crossed paths before. And she's an amazingly funny lady and full of spirit, and she's lovely to work with. And she taught me, and she's very pleased that I like to talk to people about what we do. She likes to do it. And I created the training, and some of the pictures we have.
When people work with you, will they be working with her as well?
They can work with both of us. They can work in person, so if you're within reach, or online. We work online.
You work all over the world with people.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So we have over 6,000 ex-clients, and
So how can people connect with you?
Yes.
Find you? Go ahead and tell them.
Okay. So, thank you. So we have a website. It's RA-PSI. That's the Ravenscroft Approach - Psycho-Spiritual Integration. So RAPSI, RA-PSI.com. So www.ra-psi.com. And that will tell you all about what we do. In it, it's got phone numbers, it's got places you can get in touch. You can book a session. I tend to do 30-minute sessions with people to help them really know that they want to do this work. And then we set a first session. We send you a questionnaire. I've got an email address, Digby-Jones, which is my name, minus the hyphen, .com. Sorry, at gmail.com. So Digby-Jones, all one word, at gmail.com. And it's got phone numbers and things. We love talking to you. And if I'm you, I want to be convinced that this is for me. And the only way to be convinced is to book a first session, because that's the way that you will know that this is actually for you. And that's what we do. We say, don't commit to, many sessions or anything else. But once you've had a conversation, most people say, I want to do this, So yes, I can't think of anything else. We leave cards and things which have the information, and there are lots of testimonials on our website.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Well, Clive, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for saying yes to being in our anthology book. I'm so excited to continue spreading your message and what you do, because it's incredible.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure to be coming together and with the other people, because this is people are at different stages. We said the 4 stages up to self-actualization. We're operating mostly in that area. I'm really pleased to be meeting people who are also helping with the other areas. And if we can pass on what we know, we'd love to help them as well.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why we're doing this, because it's a collaboration, and
Yes.
collaboration is the best.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Clive. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all for joining us today at the World Healing Tour podcast. Until next time, remember to take these 3 elements and practice them daily. I always go over them. Number 1, every day have a grateful heart and connect to your gratitude. When you're connected to your gratitude, you're connected to positive feelings and positive emotions, and therefore bringing more positive people, things, and experiences into your life. Number 2, every day remember to ground in love and compassion. First, love and compassion for yourself. Not beating yourself up, not making yourself wrong, but have love and compassion for yourself. And then share that love and compassion with others. We all want more love and compassion, so we have to give it out in order to have an abundance of love and compassion come to us back in return. And number 3, remember every day that you're not alone on this journey. It's a guided journey. I say guided by God, but whether it's for you, God, universe, higher power, whatever you call it, know that you are every day guided on the journey. Until next time, have a beautiful week, everyone. Namaste.
Yes.
Hi, this is Noah Crane. I'm excited to share this anthology book with you, The Grass Grows Where I Am. So just join us and be a part of this incredible book to help bring your message and influence into the world. We're excited to showcase what you do to make this world better. Click the link below. The World Healing Tour Movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world.